Back to the Learn Excel podcast. I'm Bill Jelen. We're here at the Museum of Flight in Seattle, and I've got a lot of Excel MVPs. Right now we have Robert Martim. He's an Excel MVP from Brazil, and he has a really cool trick with data validation unlike anything you've ever seen.
All right, folks. I've set up everything because it's a little bit complex. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to explain how the formulas work. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very long. But you can download this sample and then work through yourself. So the idea here is this. We have the continents on sheet 1 on the first line, and then we have countries. And we want to validate column A and column B. But column B is dependent on what you choose on column A, that is, the continent. So let's start by adding a validation using the name continents that I have already created. And let's choose here North America. So as you can see, we have the 3 continents which are already here. Now let me explain you how this name actually works. So going here to define, we use the function offset to start offsetting on sheet 1, cell A1. We have no offsetting here on the line, we have no offsetting on the column, and the height of this offsetting is equal to 1. And then we count the number of items contained in row 1. Now the next thing we want to do, let me go back here to names, is to find out on which column this continent actually is. Now if you look down here, you'll realize that the match function is returning a value based on a relative position. So if you go back to sheet 2 and type here and col, which is the name I had created, it gives us the number of the column. So we know that North America is here on column 1, and you could choose, say, Africa, and it would give you 3. So that's how the end column name works. So now let's validate here column B using the name countries that I have already created. And as you expect, that gives you a list of the countries that you choose. Now you should notice that it only works if you actually choose a continent. If you don't, as you can see, you can click and nothing happens. So let's choose here North America, and then we choose Canada. Now let's see how this name works. The country's name, again, use the offset function. We start the offsetting on sheet 2 on cell A2. Now, we don't have any offsetting on the rows, but we do have an offsetting on the column. Now, this offsetting is happening through the name we created for the end col. We subtract -1 because obviously if we get 1, then we are moving 1 column to our right, and we don't want to do that. Now, next thing we have is the count A function, which is going to count the number of items in the respective column. Then we use the indirect function to return that, so we know it's on sheet 1. We use the address function to determine on which column the countries are coming from. And here we do a little bit of a trick. We start on row 1, then we use the name and col to decide on which column it is. We then concatenate again with the address function, but this time we go all the way up to row 65,000, and we use the end column again to determine on which column we should be counting the number of countries. Now, this -1 you see here, the reason for that is because, as you can see, we have the continent on the first row. So obviously, the count A function is going to be counting that one as well, but we just want to return the countries' names. That's why we have to subtract 1. And finally, the width of this name is obviously equal to 1, because we just want to return the name of the countries according to the chosen continent. So that's how it works. I hope you enjoyed it. That's it.
Very good. All right, hey, that was a great tip. I actually learned that one myself. I've never done it before. That's Robert Martim from MS Office Gurus, a Excel MVP from Brazil. Hey, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time for another netcast from Mr. Excel.